More traction. Oh yeah, look at that. I see the button come on already. Love it.
I actually ordinarily record my Zoom meeting calls for my board meetings because I have an absolutely terrible memory. And it's the only way for me to go back and refer to what the secretary writes for minutes to make sure that it all comes out in wash. So this is great. Yeah, this is great. Dwayne, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Donald. You know what? It's I'm actually, well, after my obviously, putting up the video, I decided to take the day off yesterday, and me and my buddy Mike went golfing. Shot incredibly poorly because, of course, it was 30 degrees out. Normally I'm about a 90s, and I think I was up close to 98 yesterday, so it was a pretty bad day golfing wise. But you know what? Gave me a chance to clear my head. Mike is one of those guys that he and I have been friends for years, and we get to golf is one of those times when we get to just throw stuff back and forth, right? Talk to each other, get some ideas. He actually got his CEBA money literally within, it was a week.
On CEBA 1 or 2?
3. On
CEBA 3?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he got it on 3 within about a week. He submitted rent, which of course, that probably made a difference for him. I rent space from him, but I just rented purely for the corporate address.
Right.
So my mail goes there. Everything I do, I'm now doing out of my home. I used to have a corporate office, and I thought, well, there's no sense in keeping up with the corporate office when I don't have to. Right. So,
right. Yeah. It's the address that's more important than what people are seeing. But that's interesting. So when did he apply for CEBA 3? And
he applied he applied on the Friday, which is the
26th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, 26th, and then I applied on the Monday, the 29th.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were actually out golfing on this Saturday.
This is in June, right? Sorry, this is back in June?
June.
July. He applied in June, and then, like I say, within, just a week of that, it was the following Friday, Saturday, he and I were golfing. He goes, oh yeah, by the way, did you get your loan yet? And I go, no, why? He goes, well, I got mine. I looked at my account on Friday morning and it was there. And I'm like,
wow. Curious. What bank is he with? Just out of curiosity.
Same one I'm with.
Which is?
CIBC. Yeah.
At TD?
No, CIBC.
Oh, CIBC.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that CIBC has been actually very quick off the draw in getting funds to its clients on all CEBA programs. They've been very good on that. But that's the first time I've heard anybody actually getting any funds out of CEBA 3. That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, you and me both, actually. I don't know. This malarkey about the unreadable scanned documents. Every document, as I said in my video, every document I sent was an original document.
Yep.
So obviously it was a system issue at their end. I didn't ask Mike exactly what documents he sent or how much, but obviously it was over 40 grand.
Yeah.
According to the upload, I don't know if when you uploaded, you had this problem. I had several documents that were unreadable in the format that they said they would accept. So I had to change the format, and it still was unreadable. Mm-hmm. It took me so long to upload the documents, it wasn't even funny. I just kept trying, and finally I gave up. It's readable, unreadable, I don't care anymore. It was pretty intense.
I'm wondering about this unreadable message, because it's a little part, the email that you get that says this also includes about 5 or 6 other possibilities of why your application was.
Exactly.
And
but it wasn't after the application. I haven't heard anything. It was during, while I was uploading. It would give me a message.
Oh, really?
Unreadable. And they said that you could take pictures on your phone and send it with that extension. So I tried that. That didn't work. Then I tried PDF. Then I tried JPEG. And then I thought, I'm just going to send the PDF because, you can read a PDF. And I even tried copying documents, making them darker. Nothing worked.
Wow.
So I just gave up and sent them and thought, well, they can read it or not read it. It's so convoluted. My bank manager has no clue what she's talking about. There was just no direction. So I just got my stuff together and thought, this is what I have. And if it's not good enough or I don't qualify, then fine. You know.
Yeah.
I'm curious about something. When we were doing the upload, and that seems to be one of the issues there, did anyone actually get a preview of the document they uploaded in the previews?
No.
Neither did I. Okay.
Didn't get anything. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to see if there's some commonalities. You know, at the very least, you know, say someone else watches this afterwards. Someone else, you know what, 3 weeks from now, they're still trying to get their CEBA. They watch it afterwards. Maybe it can give them a little bit of hope. Right? Because here I am, you know, I get the unreadable document. Now I'm thinking back in my head, well, geez, I didn't see a preview for any document that I uploaded. Like, is that the problem? Who knows?
Well, this is, I think, part of the issue that the government was also dealing with back in mid-July, early July, when they had to shut down for 2 weeks, which is that system clearly also was broken, and among all the other parts of this thing that's broken, that you would upload, Maria, a PDF document and have it rejected because it's unreadable doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But that's a technological limitation, and I'm not surprised by that because the federal government, and all the chartered banks and credit unions all had to hurry to get this thing implemented. And surely there were tons of mistakes that were made. I understand. I bank at BMO, and early on in CEBA 1 and 2, the process that BMO implemented was so poor and so flawed with technology problems that nobody was getting any applications submitted for at least the first week and a half before BMO fixed those problems. And then CEBA came out, we were able to start applying, and then everything kind of just blew up after the first week or so that you could apply. So what I'm really hoping for out of this whole conversation is I want to be able to exchange the information that I've learned, the strategies that I've employed, the things that I've had to do in order to get this information. I frankly find it really absolutely ridiculous that I'm the guy that has been able to get all this information and share it with everybody. Dwayne, I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and they said, Dwayne sent the funniest tweet that I have ever read in my life on this issue, which is, thanks, Donald Blair. I got more out of this one tweet than I have out of any of the cabinet ministers in this whole process. Why is it up to some kid from Toronto to provide these updates?
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, actual cabinet ministers who've been duly elected. Right?
And I mean, you know what, I agree. Well, first of all, I agree with you on that subject. I mean, I found it ironic that, you know, it was for you, granted, it was an incredible amount of time you took to make calls and emails and make sure that you had all the information before you relayed it out. However, you know, the tweet took you all of a minute, right? After you had all that information.
Yeah.
How quickly could that have been done by Mary or Bill Morneau or anybody else for that matter? You know, it's, hey, guys, you know what? We have a problem here. We're going to try and fix it. Give us some time. Be patient. But no, none of that. It's silent. And I mean, silence is deafening.
Yeah.
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 Well, and that's really the truth behind it, because when we get that uncertainty into it, uncertainty breeds all those sorts of thoughts. Well, does it mean this? Does it mean this? Does it mean this?
Suddenly you're questioning everything, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And all of us that are on this call right now are all, I mean, it's 5 of us right now, but we are a small group of people that are hanging on by a thread. My businesses are suffering so badly that I have to determine whether or not to close them the next week. And I've mentioned this to the staff at International Trade, to the Chief of Staff in Mary Ng's office. The number of people that I've had to speak to and the way I've had to escalate this has just been, I'd like to write a white paper after it's all done, because it's a good, I mean, I've got a lot of political experience. You can probably tell behind me, all of the political signs are hanging up behind me. So, I mean, it was not a really difficult challenge for me to be able to know who to talk to and how to get things done. I'm not a fan of this government, and the Chief of Staff acknowledged that right off the bat. He said, I've read your tweets, and it doesn't seem like you're a big fan of us. And I said, well, you know.
Well, I wonder why.
Yeah. I was trying my very best to not be an asshole, but I did say, you know, I was wondering how it was possible for Canada's first Black Prime Minister to give away all that money to this charity and kick it back to his friends. But maybe if I go up to his cottage in Rideau Hall and say, hey, look, I'm black too, I'm related, come on, give me some of that money. Maybe that might work. I have no problem using the race card either, and I want to make that point clear. I'm not a race baiting person at all. I don't care about those things. This is a very interesting time in society outside of the pandemic, and I've got locusts for August. That's what my bingo card has. I'm really hoping. I've got a lot of
killer mosquitoes, but you know.
yeah, the killer mosquitoes. Wasn't the killer mosquitoes last month? I think was that last month?
That was the bees.
No, that was
murder
killer
bees.
hornets.
Yep.
Right. It is the bees. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been very vocal about that. They've said that they're trying to understand where, you know, what my anger is and everything else. But because I have a lot of this political experience, I was able to navigate the system pretty easily in a sense. Not a lot of other people are able to do that, and that's part of the reason why I'm happy to be sort of a mouthpiece here on this, and to be sort of a conduit as well, because I know exactly who needs to be talked to and who needs to be involved. And even though I'm not at all a fan of the government, of this government, it doesn't mean that the promises that were made to small businesses in order to stay alive in this pandemic need to be ignored simply because of the fact that the government is involved in this scandal. And I'm trying to remember who it was. I don't know if it was you, Jamie, or Dwayne, or actually maybe it was even you, Maria. Somebody had mentioned that probably part of this problem might be that we don't know if Bill Morneau is going to have a job tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's probably playing a big part of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I have to tell you, I emailed Mary Ng's office. I got a response that they were going to read my email, that they read every email. Hopefully that's true. And that they would direct it to the proper department, which is funny because she's the small business portfolio minister.
Yep.
So then I got another one. Now this is, my husband has the company and it's registered under his name, where we might include me in the future, but I do a lot of the paperwork and stuff. He has no patience. He wants to go to Ottawa. He wants to park himself in front of Ottawa, you know, the parliament, and just like, help us. You told us you would help us, not to worry, and you're not. Anyway, I got a second email saying, can we get your full name and address so we can send this to the proper department? And it was another one of those. And I'm thinking, what is the office talking about? I'm talking about CEBA, and they're going to direct it to somebody else. Who's the somebody? I don't understand. Also emailed Bruce Stanton, who's our MP in Aurelia area. Jagmeet Singh. Who else did I think I've sent to everybody. Ford, because he's our premier. It's just everybody. And I get the usual email, you know, thank you for emailing us, blah, blah, blah. And no, I'm not a fan of this government either, but it doesn't matter. He stood there and told us, don't worry, you're not going to lose everything if you stay home. And we stayed home. We were told not to go out there. Some people, we're in landscape maintenance and snow plowing. Some people went out anyway and risked the fine. We didn't. We did the right thing. And now we're like barely hanging on. Might have to sell my house. I'm not happy.
So
Dan, welcome to the show.
You,
so good to have you on.
Our biggest advocate, Dan, thank you for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. How did the radio show go?
Good. I mentioned on live radio that you guys were meeting. So
wow, great.
Nice.
Not by name, but I said there's a group of very unhappy business owners right now talking about the failings of the CEBA loan program. The radio show was about, I've done, I think, 750 live interviews since the pandemic began.
Wow.
But in this one, it was about, we did an estimate that there could be 158,000 businesses bankrupt or wound down during the pandemic, directly as a result of the pandemic. And the only way to influence that is making sure that some of these support programs start to kick in and actually work for more businesses. most notably the CEBA program and the failing rent support programs, the CECRA program. Those are the two that aren't working well at all. The wage support program, you know, it has some flaws for sure, but it is certainly working better than the other two main government support programs the government has put in place. But anyway, this is your meeting. I didn't come in to monopolize. I just came in because, you know, when there's a group of business owners that is on, you know, has some concerns about something, to wherever I'm able to be there, I'm happy to participate and listen. If you'd like, I'm happy to share with you a little bit about what we're doing at CFIB on that front.
Well, Dan, thank you so much.
Absolutely. If I may, very quickly, you know, and I'll tell you guys, obviously my video sparked something. And you know what? It was one of the hardest. It was a very instantaneous thing. After writing the letter and submitting it to all the different people and not getting, I mean, I was getting responses obviously through social media and online, but I mean, you know, all the people that weren't responding that could make the difference. I want to say thank you to all of you guys, and even the ones that, you know, we can't see or aren't here today. I'm so glad I was able to spark this. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Well, it was I thought it was amazing, and better coming from, you know, government needs to hear the stories directly from business owners too. I mean, we are working, I got to tell you, around the clock as a business association to try to make a difference. I've got a team that is absolutely dead tired, but every time they get tired, I you know, videos like the one you produced, direct emails from members that we read, it really puts some fire in the process for us. And politicians need to hear that from business owners, because at a certain point, you know, they listen to us, and they are, but you know, you can put the emotion behind it, as you did really, really well, Dwayne, and that count. Like, you got to make an emotional connection with these people.
Well, it was all from the heart. I mean, there was nothing, you know, nothing at play there other than we're desperate. We need this, and
no kidding.
It's I personally, you know, I've got two kids. One that was halfway through his first semester in college. We had to pull him out. I got a daughter that's going into college this fall. He's got to do it online. You know, we've got our commitments that we've got to make, and responsibility and accountability play a big part in that. I take on their pain, and
well, one of the points that you made, Dwayne, that I think goes underappreciated by many, particularly by politicians, is that there are a lot of business owners that are carrying their customers.
I'll get into that, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the tier of problems would be much greater if every business owner lawyered up and tried to enforce payment for every outstanding invoice. And so many business owners are going to have to write off these, you know, at a certain point, they're going to have to write off the hope and dream that they're actually going to get paid for work they've already done. And
well, let me give you a little background on that, if I may, Dan. And I'll try to be quick about it, but keep in mind, now I said I was carrying a lot of my clients. Interestingly enough, so I publish a magazine, which is a business directory. It's informational. Sylvan Lake, of course, as most of you know, is a tourist destination, a vacation destination. So the information that I'm giving out is incredibly important to our visitors as much as it is to our own residents. Now, I also do online. I have not been able to, I was a third of the way through my sales cycle when COVID hit. So I got a third of my sales out of $130,000 in sales, which isn't a lot, but you know what, it helps us maintain. I only got a third of the way through. Now, I also do online. So when somebody purchases an ad with us in our magazine, they also get an online profile on our directory page. It's a very robust website, which is very costly to maintain.
I bet.
So I could have been an ogre and said, you know what, we're going to suspend everybody who didn't pay it. I'm like, why would I do that? That would make me look like, you know, a complete idiot. So I literally left everybody up. I redesigned everybody's ads, whether they got a hold of me or not, and I kept everybody online. So Out of the 100%, I'm now carrying probably 350 clients.
Amazing. Well, good for you for doing that. I got to tell you, I mean, you can imagine running a not-for-profit business association that exclusively represents independent businesses, that it's not been easy for us to try to keep our staff going and paid through the pandemic as well. We've got we've said to any member, if you can't pay your membership fee, that's okay. We'll carry you through. And we've also said to the we've had 8,000 calls for help from individual business owners who are not part of CFIB. Many of them said, we'd love to join, but I can't afford to right now. And we've said, that's okay, we'll provide services. We're doing an introductory free membership at least for the balance of the year. Anybody that wishes to join, whether they can pay us or not, that's absolutely fine.
My eyes have been open, just so you know. Membership for us is a no-brainer now. Just so you know.
Yeah, and for me too. How many of us are on the call members of CFIB? Jamie and Maria, are you a member?
No.
Okay.
Well, check us out, and if you and look, if the money's the only object, if you go to our website, there's a free introductory website option.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm gonna check it out. I
You
have been
can't go wrong with
following
that.
what you've been doing, but
That's great.
Yeah, and Dan, again, you're kicking ass and taking names, and we really appreciate that. Really, yeah, it's great.
I only have a couple of minutes because I have to go and do 2 other TV shows this afternoon, if you can believe it. Not live ones, just tape stuff. But I really wanted to just come on and say that, you know, one thing I think business owners need to hear is that you're not alone, and that what you're going through, tens of thousands, in fact, hundreds of thousands of business owners are experiencing the same thing. And they're trying to make a go of things where people automatically think, I'm sure you found it too, that, hey, you own your own business, that you must be rich. You must be one of Canada's 1%.
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
You wish.
absolutely.
Wow, here's a myth, eh?
You know what people miss, any of your employees might miss, or subcontractors or governments certainly miss, the general public certainly misses, is they weren't there when you remortgage your home to get your business going, where you put your payroll or your invoices on your personal credit card in order to keep things going.
Yeah.
So, this is the stuff that I think we can't do enough to promote to the general public, that the business, like these, small business owners, independent business owners failing has a huge economic consequence, long-term economic consequence. We just can't let it happen. None of this was your fault. Look, we represent independent businesses, and some of them fail. Some of them are in lines of work that technology has affected. Some of them have made bad location decisions or other calls. But this is different than that. This is, your businesses were required to shut down in many respects because to protect the public. And therefore, it's deeply unfair to expect you to incur and carry the full cost of your rent and every other thing that you have to pay as a business owner. And it's one of the reasons why we have supported unprecedented support for businesses during this time. And the governments have been fumbling all over the place. Now,
the same message from the chief of staff when I had the phone conversation with him last week.
Okay,
There
this
was
was
something
you're talking in Mary Ng's office, or
chief of staff to Mary Ng and the two folks from international trade.
okay. So that we're hoping against hope that finally they'll announce that. Now, what that will look like and whether they're going to create another huge paper chase, I don't know. But that sounds like there will be an avenue for that. We are pushing EDC really hard to fix the failings of the website that they've designed to, with the banks. So you apply to the bank under that payroll program, but then the information goes to EDC to make a decision as to whether you qualify, and then they let the bank know to release the money or not. And that is where the problem is the EDC, the bank part. I've got a list of complaints with the banks as long as my arm, but on this one, the main complaint is with EDC and the government behind it, right? So that's where we have been focusing our attention on CEBA.
I wanted to, just before you go, Dan, and I had made this point before you jumped on the call, and I wanted to make sure I made it again while you were here, because I do feel very bad about having to do this and use this piece of me to move the agenda forward. But I had said earlier that I had no problem playing the race card here for myself personally, because especially around this time when we're talking about racial inequity and all that stuff, and with a government that's constantly tooting its own horn about those kinds of things. I have one little funny thing to share with everybody that the chief of staff had told me, which was that if I didn't qualify for CEBA, and with the triple RF in progress, and I've got no update on that, and they acknowledged that FedDev Ontario, it's a back and forth. They're saying FedDev Ontario is bad at support. FedDev Ontario is saying, "Oh, don't listen to what's coming from the minister's office." This is a back and forth pinball game. But the chief of staff, Jason, I can't remember his last name, had said to me, "Well, if those programs don't work for you, I can tell you right now that we realize the problems with racial inequities and the problems with Black people being able to access funds in either traditional or non-traditional manners, and et cetera, et cetera. But I can tell you that there is some program that we are working on right now that will be ready soon for Black entrepreneurship." Okay. The problem is that it's not going to be ready any time by the time you're ready. And I said, well, I don't even know why you'd bother bringing that up to me, because my businesses have about another week and a half to survive. Yeah. And if this is another government program, first of all, if it's not delivered and bungled up by the time it gets delivered, it's going to be months before we see any of that. Kudos to the government for wanting to do something about this, but that's a little too late. So I just wanted to make that point, that the government's making some kind of action plan on that piece. Okay. But they've also, and I said to them, I actually said this to Jason, the federal government had promised in mid-May to have some action on personal business accounts with CEBA. And it's August now and nothing's happened. So I'm not going to take this information about a Black entrepreneurship program with any kind of trust, because if you guys can't even figure out how to get personal bank accounts to be used in this program, I don't trust you guys as far as I can throw you to help Black people in business. So
Donald, I think your instincts are absolutely right on that one. Look, we are right now pushing any avenue that we possibly can to try to get, whether it's the RRRF or CEBA or whatever. But gosh, you can't just, a program that has a failing, just create another companion program here and there and everywhere. And then you send these business owners scrambling over all these often dead ends. Rather than fixing the main program. Like CEBA is a good program, and we should be expanding. Look, on the wage subsidy, to the government's credit, they announced the program. Now they've announced an extension out till the end of December. They've changed it. Yes, it's less generous as time goes on, but at least they've announced a long-term path for businesses to plan. The problem right now with CEBA is it's no good to throw a life raft to somebody who's drowning 4 months or 5 months after they start. I mean, the number of business failures is going to be enormous as a result of that. That they can fix instantly. Here's where I think they may go on the CEBA program is they'll say, okay, we'll just apply for a business bank account and then you can access CEBA. And if they do that, I'm, you know, in addition to saying, well, that's good that they finally done it, I will be banging my head on the wall because that was my recommendation back in April. When
you know what, I'm a little, and I know everybody on this call is going to agree with me on this one. The actionable, or the actions that were taken so very quickly on 1 and 2, to not be able to use that same action as quickly on number 3,
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, people getting funds within, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 days,
yeah,
as opposed to 90 days.
Well, and I think somebody mentioned this a minute ago, one of the two that isn't on the video, but it's absolutely true. It's also created an unlevel playing field between one business owner and the next. And that's,
I made this point the other day on Twitter as well, Dan, that the issue here, and the chief of staff had mentioned this, that the federal government wanted to push out funds as quickly as possible under CEBA 1 and 2. Yeah. But when the CEBA 3 program came out, they realized that the adjudication process was pushing out funds to people who might not have even been eligible to receive those funds. And then all of a sudden they said, no, we've got to put the brakes on this and make sure that the actual applicants that are legitimate are getting these funds. So what's happened here is CEBA 1 and 2 has given away money like candy to a baby to anybody who wanted it, and then finally turned around and said, oh wait, we're doing this wrong. And now all of the rest of us who have legitimate business expenses or lack thereof, who have had to suffer from income loss, are being held 32 days. I had to wait 32 days before I decided to push things forward and get answers. So none of that actually, it is very, very unfair. It is a very unfair playing field. And they acknowledge that, but there was no answer to it other than we're working as hard as we can on this. So
what we've got to remember here too is that we're coming up on 3 months since the initial thought. It was May 19th. It was May 19th that CEBA 3.0 got announced and all that. We're literally coming up on 3 months of that. And there's some of us, we've been waiting that whole time to have that. And what happens?
No, it's absolutely shocking what has happened. And talk about a way of making look, we should be celebrating the fact that we actually have some of these programs out there. And for many business owners, the CEBA has been a real lifeline because they met the payroll requirements. But if you didn't, it's been a nightmare, and it's created, I think, a very unlevel playing field. And the size of the group that isn't covered by CEBA right now is enormous. And I don't think they fully appreciate that. This is one of the reasons, you remember in 2017, when the federal government made the small business tax policy changes, and we and other groups freaked out at the thought of that. A lot of it was that government doesn't understand or trust business owners that don't have payrolls. They don't understand how that could possibly be the case. They think that you're all trying to cheat and screw over workers. And we've tried to
find you file taxes and you're paying taxes and everything else.
This is just it. And
never mind, you're paying your contract workers. It's not like we're not paying people. We're just not doing it the way other people do it. You know, my branch manager sat across from me and she told me at the very beginning, it's breaking my heart. People that don't need this loan are getting it. And the rest of you, she said, it's heartbreaking. And it was so frustrating to sit across from her and have to listen to her say that with no recourse. I have friends that are business owners. They got the CEBA. It's sitting in the bank so that they can take that 10 grand.
That's right.
They don't even need it. It's just driving me crazy to think of. I've heard stories of buying cars, putting down payments on cottages, and I know stories personally myself. It's so frustrating. I could just scream. My husband's like losing it. We've had this company for 18 years. It's not huge, but we bring in some really decent money when things are going well. Right now, things are not going well.
No, look.
Your business, like everybody else's, is the heartbeat of
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm sure grateful for the extra efforts that all of you are making, social media and otherwise. Love to stay in touch, and if there, I get requests often from reporters to talk to a business owner, not just to talk to me, a talking head. My business is running the CFIB, not running an actual independently owned business. And I depend on the work that you guys are doing and the contributions that you're making through reaching out to MPs and just to let you know, do check out CFIB's website. We've got some information, online petition. We do, if we send you surveys, those really do help us in determining the priorities that we take on. The other thing is, don't give up hope. I mean, I think that something is coming on this reasonably soon. They will probably issue something that will itself need to be changed. We will continue to push them on all of that. I just want to thank you for the perseverance that you're having. If nobody else has said thank you to you for what you're doing on behalf of Canada, let me say that to you. Really, really grateful for everything that you guys are taking on. Now, Donald, I took a picture of our little Twitter conversation. I was going to post it, but I don't want to do that if that's going to.
Please
do.
For it.
Please do.
Please do.
Go for it.
To do that. And you know what, Dan, too? This does now require some very pointed attention from the media now, too.
Yeah.
I'm very happy, and I'm sure that Dwayne, Jamie, and Maria are. And who is Skip's Clearing? Not a word yet from who that is, but I'm very happy to be on the media and to talk about this, because it does require more action and attention than it's getting right now. And Dan, thank you for all of your advocacy, all of your hard work on this, the constant attention. I can't imagine how little sleep you're getting, but on behalf of the group, really thank you for.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Look, I just put in the chat function my email address, so don't be shy if you have another thought that you think of after this. That goes directly to me. I can't promise you that I'll reply instantly. I normally get about 300 to 400 emails a day, and that's now up 700-800 a day. So it's been a little intense, as you can imagine, but please don't be shy if you want to reach out to me. I do read everything that comes my way. I use often the color from those stories in media interviews, so it's super, super helpful. And just
I do see that your members or your some of your senior staff as well are resharing, like my video, for example.
Yes,
they're resharing it, and that is awesome. I'm so glad to see that they're interacting so well.
I did that myself, and happy to retweet or share any of the information that the rest of you.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, folks. A pleasure to be with you, and hope this won't be the last time we connect, either virtually or in person at some stage.
Guaranteed.
Nice.
Excellent, Dan. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
That was really
how good is that, right?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That was
I'm curious. What round is everyone on here? I'm on round 2. Round 2 for application of 3.0. What round's everyone on?
2.
Can I just say that I didn't apply till very late because I wasn't getting any direction.
Okay.
My branch manager told me to get my 2019 ready. And I said, are you sure that's not what I heard?
Yeah.
And so, it took me a while, and then I didn't even want to apply. I thought, why am I even bothering? I'm going to do all this work, and for what? And then finally I thought, well, I'll try it. If we're eligible, we're eligible. If we're not, then we're not. I didn't know it would turn into this long drawn out drama, which is even worse, but it took me forever. I only applied July 12th. I think we're on day 15 come Tuesday, but I'm not holding out any hope when I hear the rest of you are waiting 30 days, 31 days.
Yep.
Crazy.
30, well, not business days, but actual days, I'll be 35, I think.
Yeah, I'm on about 30. Well, at this point, I'm about 35, 36 business days myself, too. Yeah,
business days, yeah. We're on just 15 business days, but that's because like I said, I applied late. It was just too hard to figure it out, and I wasn't even going to do it. I was throwing up my hands, and I thought, well, I don't want to lose everything, so I'm going to try.
You gotta do it, Maria. You gotta make the effort. You know what? If you didn't do it, you would
You wonder, yeah.
You would always be wondering. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
It's absolutely worth it, even if we've got to persist through and have one or two denials or whatnot. We've got to remember, I was thinking about this morning because I was really excited to do this call with you all today. And it's like we're dealing with children. If it doesn't exactly, specifically 1000% meet their qualifications, they're going to say no. What did I do wrong the first time? I'll be vulnerable. I threw in some expenses. I mean, I have to travel.
Yeah.
This isn't an option for me. I threw those expenses in. So I know why, number one, well, unreadable documents, who knows? But number two, ineligible expenses.
Yeah.
Now, even though I submitted well over $68,000, all business related, all with the business name on the invoice, no BS, no faking. Yes, proper business account. Yes, proper GST number. Yes, I pay GST, all that stuff. But it's because my thought process when I went into it was, well, if they don't need it, they just won't use it. No,
right.
They immediately, they saw that one thing that wasn't compliant within their small children brains, and they stopped.
And this is the problem too, is that there is actually no clarity on what non-deferrable really truly means. Jamie, your purpose, your business requires you to travel. So the argument there is, my travel expenses are non-deferrable because it is a part of my business. It's the only way for me to do my job and to earn an income. I have to travel. It's not an option. So that can be argued as a non-deferrable expense. The same way that rent is non-deferrable. And if rent is non-deferrable, but they're also having problems with this rent assistance program, it's got to be one or the other, right? I mean, if I'm having difficulty meeting my non-deferrable payments on rent, and my landlord's is having a hard time getting the rent assistance program, then it should just be the simple flip of a switch that says, well, if we can't give it to the landlord, we'll just give it to the business. Because the business still has that expense. It's still a non-deferrable expense for the business. As it is travel for you, Jamie, right? As it is for you, Maria, as it is for you, Dwayne. We all have.
Have any of you had to use an accountant to help you with this, or did you all do what I did and just sort of winged it, figured out what you could claim?
The only thing for me was when I went to go apply on the Friday, I did, and I want to say that was right around the July long weekend. I did not have my 2018 taxes in my files, so I had to wait to hear from my accountant on the Monday. She immediately called me back. She said, "Oh yeah, here it is." She sent it to me, and then immediately, Roxanne.
That's Roxanne. Yep.
And then of course, once I had that, I just, I had analyzed and put out all the numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. I knew exactly how much, because I'm working from home, I was using 25% as my staple point for my expenses. So, whatever I was paying for, whether it was utilities or cellular, I didn't even include my mortgage or interest payments. None of that.
I did.
And you know what? Had I done that, I probably would have been up closer to about 80 grand. But I mean,
here's where it doesn't make sense, right? Here's where the qualifications don't make any sense. And I want to bring up something about the tax return issue as well, because that's where I got stuck. Jamie, your question was how many rounds were all on. I've only applied once. Everything went through, no problem. I never got any error message at the bank side. Never got any error message on the EDC side. All my documents were perfect. No issues, no unreadable error messages. I never got a single email telling me that I filed anything incorrectly. Now, I'm also an IT guy by trade, so I made sure that anything that was going to be submitted after reading all of the complaints people were having were going to be legible, fully legible. But, here's the issue on the eligibility piece, which is, I'm sorry, Dwayne, what was the comment you had just made before? It prompted me to say this.
The taxes.
Right. Okay. Well, yes. On the tax issue. So, I have two corporations. Pivotworks Corporation was founded on the 1st of July 2019. Our tax year end is August 31st. The other company, the Wexford company, was founded on February 7th of this year. Now, the biggest piece of the criteria, and they call it an anchor piece, is the tax return piece. And I explained to them that the rules that they've made don't make sense. How is it that you have to have a company, an incorporated entity that is legitimate and existing as of March 1st, 2020, but have that company required to fill out taxes for 2018 and 2019 if the company didn't exist until, I mean, short
Makes no sense.
of magic, I mean, short of some kind of government magic that they know and I don't, there's no way of doing that. And I explained to them that the rules themselves are backwards. My company, the Wexford company, is perfectly eligible to apply based on that date. But if the tax returns are key criteria, then why didn't the government just simply move the date from March 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2019 and kept it at that? That way I'd know the Wexford company wasn't eligible and that Pivotworks was still eligible even though our taxes weren't due, and that would be a totally different fight. But instead, there is no clarity on that. It is simply, there are two dates here at play. There's the March 1st, 2020 date, but then this requirement to have 2018 and 2019 taxes due. How do you do that if a company didn't exist back then? Right?
It's illogical. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Now, on the flip side, Maria is one of many examples I've been hearing about where she's been running her business for, what did you say, 15 years?
18 years.
18
years, right? And whether she's running it out of a personal account or a business account, somehow, when she submits all of this paperwork, she's still being met with this backward criteria of tax returns that they have called, that EDC have called an anchor piece of the criteria. And it still doesn't make any sense because
you know what I don't understand? If they're asking, let's say for 2019, right? And we've done our 2019 or 2018, regardless, they can see all our expenses. We have filed. You can see, and all our expenses are over 40,000. So what is the problem? You've got it. Why are you making me do all this hoop jumping? I saw one tweet. Some guy must have a podcast, or I don't know. It sounds like a podcast. I'm so angry at him. I didn't even look. He said, I really enjoyed our talk today. He said, you know, I feel for you small business owners, but you know, you don't have employees. You throw your employees under the bus by making them do contract work. We're not throwing anybody under the bus. These people want to work as contract workers, or they wouldn't be working as contract workers. You know, and just his attitude that, you know, we're trying to cheat the system, so this is what you get when you try to. It's just like,
you know.
Now, if you think about it, though, if you think about all of us on this call right now, are we not also contract workers as well? Dwayne, I know you are.
Yes.
But if you really think about it, you're under contract to your clients to be able to provide them an advertising service.
Yes.
Myself, I'm under contract to provide business direction, business services, and all that. We are all contractors.
Yeah.
You know, when my when I first when COVID literally was, I remember when it became a reality for me. I was actually watching forgive me for the golf analogy, but I was watching a PGA tournament and they stopped the tournament in mid. I think it was the tournaments go from Thursday to Sunday. They stopped it on the Saturday in mid game, and they said, we're shutting everything down, and we're just going to stop. All the sports teams stopped playing, and then all of a sudden I got this email from my graphic artist she's a few years older than I am. She lives by herself. Great artist, fantastic. She's got 30 years of experience on this magazine that I do, and she said, Dwayne, I can't work for you anymore. You can't pay me. And I went, what do you mean? I said, you really think it's going to be that bad? And I mean, none of us knew just how bad it was going to be, right? And she already had pre-existing issues with her health as it was, which is why she was living and working out of her home. All of a sudden, I went, wait a second, you know what? I pay her $25,000 a year over 10 months. I can't afford to pay her because my clients have all of a sudden stopped calling, stopped returning emails. They're not going to buy advertising, not unless they get these loans that they're talking about. So all of a sudden, you know, we're in a position where, and that's only one subcontractor. I have an IT contractor. I have a printing contractor. The list goes on and on. They're all in that same position.
Yeah.
Can I should have done this at the top, and I mean, I have got a fairly vague idea of where everybody does here and where everybody's located, but maybe we could just do a quick poll of where we're from, where we are in the country, and what our companies are the names of our companies, what we do. Because I also think that there's a very good opportunity for all of us here to network and help each other outside of the bullshit that we're facing with the federal government. So I'm going to use my screen here. Dwayne, why don't you just do a quick brief introduction so we all.
So I own 7 Points Media. 7 Points Media was created in 2014. Used to be in the office supply, office supply business. I converted over when the office supply business, I was competing against companies like Staples, which became very unprofitable. I sold that off to my buddy Mike, and I purchased the Sylvan Lake Directory. The Sylvan Lake Directory used to be a small phone book, like most of these small communities. I converted it to both online and into a full-fledged magazine with tourism and information. And then from there, we moved on. We started managing social media. We started managing Google My Business pages. We started doing web hosting using our online platform and so on and so forth. So, I mean, we manage about 500 clients roughly. And we do a volume of about anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000 a year, depending on the year. And I run it purely with contractors or subcontractors.
Cool. Very cool. Jamie.
Excellent. Well, my name is, of course, Jamie Adamchuk. I am the owner of UECoaching, and what I do is I work with business operators, people who are working in their business. I help them, number one, relieve that unnecessary stress. Stress is a killer, right? Not just in business, but in everything in your own body itself. So number one, we focus on looking at opportunities to relieve that stress. We look at opportunities to scale your business. And then most importantly, I take those business operators and really truly help them understand what it means to work on the business and become business owners.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Very cool. Awesome. Thanks, Maria.
Well, my husband and I have a lawn maintenance company, and we do various things. We do have a schedule where we have a lawn schedule every day. In a good year, we're close to 100,000 before our expenses. And we've been around for 18 years. It's nothing big. We've had a lot of people work for us, contract workers, young people who are friends of our kids. All our kids have worked for us at one point or another, so everybody knows how our company works. The kids that we've employed, they've gone on to do great things. You know, it was a great first job for them. We do lawn maintenance and garden work and pruning. My husband, does some tree work and stuff. So, I mean, some of it's cosmetic, some of it you need to do and so forth. And our business is a little different than a lot of other businesses. We're not a storefront. We're not going to have a bad day today and tomorrow 10 people more will walk through the door and that'll make the difference. It doesn't work that way with lawns, unfortunately. And there's only 24 hours in a day and only so much sunlight. So you got to get that work done in that hour. Anyway, we've lost a lot. A lot of people said, our kids are coming home from school. We don't need you. I'm going to do my own cleanup. Can you start later? Can't afford you right now. So we've had those challenges, which is similar to what everybody else is having, even though it's a different business.
But it's still your family legacy.
Yeah.
Well,
we're hoping it's not the end of the line.
No, but it you know what? You've been working 18 long years to build it to where you have it now. It is a legacy for you. I mean, you said it yourself. Most of your family members and some of their friends have worked for you. So you built a reputation for being who you are.
And a lot of the kids that work with us. Yeah, a lot of the kids have said it was the best time they've had, because we're pretty easygoing. We're not.
I love that.
So they had a good time and they learned a lot. Yeah.
That's great.
Donald, what about yourself?
So I'm Donald Blair and I have a big mouth. And
I love it. By the way, I do.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm in Toronto, downtown. I live about a block away from the CN Tower, so I'm very, very right in the core downtown. I am the head of, I mentioned 2 companies. Pivotworks Business Systems Corporation is a digital transformation and automation company. We help companies that large enterprise organizations that are using multiple types of software and pieces of software to help them become more efficient. And we also do a lot of disaster recovery and business assumption planning, which right now is a very, very key piece of our business because the pandemic has highlighted a lot of problems that companies have been having with business continuity and disaster planning and disaster recovery and business resumption. So that's Pivotworks, and the Wexford company is a technology holdings company that operates and manages several e-commerce sites and provides support directly to Pivotworks. I'm also hate to admit it, but I have a political background of about 25 years as well as my IT background, about the same amount of time. I've run for political office twice. I've worked for a political party. I am a registered card-carrying conservative. I have no problem saying that these days, especially considering who's in government. But I'm very active on the political front, less these days than I have been before. And I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I'm only 39, but I feel like I'm ready to retire. So
it may be
sounds like you've done a lot in a short time.
Yeah, I feel like I have, and I'm really actually not even kidding when I say I'm ready to retire. I was ready to retire 10 years ago, but but I love what I do, and I love being an IT geek, and I love being a political geek, and I'm very happy to have helped this cause with all of you because this is. I keep saying this, and it seems to be falling on deaf ears in the government, which doesn't make sense. That the engine of this country is driven solely by small and medium business. They're, you know, where none of us are Galen Weston, none of us are the Kielburgers, none of us are big entities with millions of dollars in our bank accounts to be able to survive this, and then get more money, millions of dollars from the federal government as a result. We're all trying to make ends meet here, and the people that we need to support us aren't supporting us. The promises that were made aren't being kept, and I wanted to just briefly talk about what I had to do so that if any of you are kind of in this place of being stuck, that what I've done to get this far might be able to help you. I've been saying it multiple times, demand more, don't stop, don't give up. And Dan was right about that too. I basically said to BMO, which is the first place I had to start, right? Everybody has to start at one place, and the only place that anybody can really start at is their chartered bank or their credit union, because they are the front-facing, customer-facing end of these programs. And the banks can say that they are not complicit as much as they want. But there are two problems here. The first is that any of these banks are happy to hold on to the government money before they deliver it to the clients because it helps them make interest off that money, which is fine. You know, banks are banks, and they got to do what they got to do in order to make their money, and that's all good. But in actually doling out the funds to businesses, they are only doing that based on what they get from EDC. And there's now enough information for me to realize that the banks and EDC are having to work together in order to qualify. Even though EDC does the adjudication, they have to work together in order to give the money out to a client. And the bank still can say no, even if the government has said yes, which is an issue at the bank level. So Dan's right, the banks really just flip a switch, but they still have some culpability here in how that happens. What I did was I had done two things. First was my bitching and complaining on Twitter, which has raised a lot of eyebrows at the government level, which I was happy to do. But the banks also realized that they can't afford a media issue, especially, and I again use the black card here. They don't want to be in a position where they've inadvertently pissed off a black business owner, and so I used that to help move this forward. Eventually, it got to the head of small business banking at BMO. So the key here was be as aggravating as you possibly can to your bank and insist that you speak to the next highest person. And every time you speak to that person, you have a conversation with them for about 2 minutes, you listen to the bullshit that they're going to give you, and you say, all right, Now I need to speak to the person that you report to. Eventually, the seniors at BMO saw my tweets and heard me on the phone, all my recorded conversations. And I insisted to BMO that if they were not going to transfer me to who I needed to speak to, that it was up to them to hang up the phone. I wasn't going to be the one to do it, because if they do that, then that's a whole other customer service problem. So key here is be a jackass, be as much of a jackass as you can, because that's the only way that they're going to escalate you to who you need to speak to. The guy that I spoke to, Arun Kumar, who's head of small business banking at BMO, happened to have in his Rolodex a contact at EDC, who's the team lead of the adjudication team at EDC. So I was lucky to have that conversation and that connection. But each one of your banks has a senior head of small business banking who has a connection at EDC. So the next thing is insist that that person speaks to you and connects you directly to the person at EDC that they have a contact with. All small business banking heads have that contact, and you insist that you be on a conference call with them, because that's the only way you're going to get accurate information. You have to insist that they call you back, you give them a deadline of when they need to get back to you, and insist that that happens. And Maria, you had reached out, I think you said you had reached out to Mary Ng's office. Was it you?
Yeah, and I just realized she's in Markham, right? We could actually go through her office. I don't know if that would do any good.
So I can tell you, I had the same thing that happened. I got an email response back.
Yeah.
Boilerplate response that said, let us know more details so we can forward your concern to the appropriate.
Yeah.
The only reason that I did end up getting a phone call back from the international trade, there were two people from international trade and the chief of staff, was because I bitched and complained enough on social media, and they were getting concerned about what this was going to do for them. If there's one thing that politicians are afraid of, it's any possible negative media coverage, even if it's from some random kid in Toronto who's sitting in his office with his obnoxious dog that eats everything. There's still a way to push this forward by being a jackass. You have to, and that's what ended up happening. They realized I was very upset, and I made it clear that I was very upset. And Dwayne, your video, man, I watched that and it almost drove me to tears. Yeah. Because I could hear and feel the frustration, right? Yeah. And that's what they need to hear directly as well. They need to hear, and that's what I was expressing as well. I told them, look, the government wants me to fail. Why does the government want me to fail? Why are they so hell-bent on seeing my companies fail? And, to again go back to the black card, why do they want a black business to fail? Why do they want Dwayne's business to fail? Why do they want James' business to fail? Or Maria, who's been in business for 18 years? I mean, none of this stuff makes sense, but you have to push it as a jackass. It's the only way they will respond to you. And you might not be within your wheelhouse. You might not be that comfortable of a person to do that. I have a ton of political experience, so I already know what it's like to be a resident jackass. But if that's not something you're comfortable with, you've and Maria, I don't mean any offense when I say this, but you have to let your balls drop, and you have to actually get to that point of saying, this is not acceptable anymore. This is totally, wholly unacceptable. And the only way you get any answers from these people is to sink to that level of being a jackass. And then they realize we're hurting these businesses.
Yeah. And they also did promise that if you had to stay home or if your business suffered because of coronavirus, you weren't going to lose your home. You weren't going to lose your business. They promised. He promised it. I saw Trudeau every morning. Don't worry. Premier Ford, same thing. Don't worry. What they say and what happens are a total disconnect. But yeah, every time we've encountered any of them or sent an email, we always reiterate, you told us not to worry, that you would help us out if we got into trouble. We always reiterate that because that was a promise.
Yep. Now, and the other thing too is by email, it's great because everything is on the record, right? So it's good to make sure you communicate by email. But most of these people are, I mean, granted, because of the pandemic, this has also kind of made things very difficult and they're just inundated. But you have to speak to them on the phone. You've got to get somebody on the phone too. It might not be on the record, but you're going to get more information, accurate and quicker information, speaking to somebody on the phone. Now, I have contact information here that I will share with everybody for people to get a hold of the relevant players. Just a second. I'm going to, so Dwayne, you bank at CIBC.
Yes.
Where do you bank?
Scotiabank.
You're at Scotiabank. And
Scotiabank.
You're at Scotiabank? Okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to give me a couple hours. I think I have a contact for both of you, a senior contact at Scotiabank, if you haven't reached out already.
Perfect.
And Dwayne, I do have a contact for you at CIBC as well that can help escalate for you too. So, so I will, by the end of the day, send you the contact information for that. And I will also send you contact information for Zachary Nixon, who's the Special Assistant for Regional Affairs Ontario with Small Business, as well as, just a second. Have any of you applied to the RRRF?
No.
Okay, so here's the thing. I got a private message yesterday from, give me 2 seconds. By the way, my video, I was just looking as you were saying that, my video's got 90 views. So
excellent.
Great.
Excellent. That's great.
Give me a second here. So from Carla, she did mention that the what is it, the RRRF? She said it was still, whether or not you're going to get a response, the response may be quicker, may not, but she said it wouldn't hurt to apply. So she sent me the link. I hadn't applied for it. I was actually over 2/3 of the way through the application when we decided to get this this call going. So I'm going to finish that off and I'm going to send it off.
Aren't you supposed to be denied? Sorry, Jamie. Aren't you supposed to be denied the CEBA first before you apply for the RRRF? That's what I understood. So there was no point in applying for it.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? So again, government operation, right? There's a little bit of a misunderstanding about that process. Yes, Maria, you have to be rejected from CEBA first.
Yep.
Before they consider your RRRF. But if you have received CEBA, you can still apply for the RRRF.
Okay.
And if you receive, you can still receive funds from the RRRF, but you are no longer eligible for the non-forgivable portion of the CEBA or the RRRF, depending on the. So there are two streams for the RRRF. There's the up to $40,000 stream, which is exactly like CEBA, and it has the exact same 10,000 forgivable portion. And then there's the stream of up to 500,000 with the RRRF, which doesn't have a forgivable portion. If you have applied for CEBA, you can still apply for the RRRF if you've been waiting on CEBA and haven't had any response yet. That's what the government is advising people to do. If you've applied for CEBA, still apply for the RRRF because one or the other might become approved. If they both get approved, you get the financing from both CEBA and RRRF, but there's no forgivable portion in it at all.
Okay.
And they will deduct the portion of the CEBA that you get, the 40,000, from whatever you get from the RRRF. So it's just basically a top-up of the RRRF.
Yeah.
But you can still apply whether or not you've been rejected.
Looking at the application, because it's right in front of me here. It's the first thing it does after it asks you about the basic information is it goes through the questions. It says, have you applied for this? Have you applied for that? Have you applied for that? And it goes through that whole list of different questions. So it's basically confirming whether or not you applied or not.
Yeah. And it's actually very funny. They've said that the RRRF program takes a lot faster to approve than the CEBA program. But I'm now coming up to week 3 of the RRRF, and I have a contact, and that was the reason I brought this up. I have a contact at FedDev Ontario as well for, and Jamie, you've applied. So how long ago did you apply for the RRRF, Jamie?
So I'll share a little bit of story if I can. Originally, I saw the opportunity with BDC. Now this is back in, right in the beginning of April. So I applied for the BCAP. You used to be able to apply for the BCAP directly through BDC. I don't know that that's still available. So I went and applied. 2 months, not a single word. 2 months, not a single word. Reached out, and you can't call these people. You can't do anything. It's all through your message center and all that. So I waited patiently, waiting. Finally, some action started to happen. I actually got pre-approved. Yay, I'm thinking, hey, this is gold. I'm pre-approved. Yeah. This has got to be a good thing. Literally within 2 days, I received a denial letter. No reason why. Would not get any response. I went back to my message center. I messaged the people that were involved. Absolutely zero response. Yeah. I have absolutely no respect for BDC whatsoever. I think they're an absolutely disgusting form of that. Right?
That's applied with BDC in February. Okay. Actually, and I got nothing. They immediately denied me.
Yeah. I waited 2 months. Zip.
I wasn't even going to go to BDC because I knew I wasn't even going to. I knew I wasn't going to get very far with BDC anyway, especially on the BCAP program. But I knew it wasn't going to help. And I've had experiences with BDC before that were not very pleasant. So I am not at all surprised to hear you say that, Jamie.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrible. So nonetheless, that happened. I've still got messages open in my message center waiting for a response. That's from month and a half, 2 months now. I don't expect to get a response, but it's just pretty poor on their side.
Yeah.
I mean, hashtag BDC fail. Absolutely. Yeah. So what happened after this? Okay. May 19th, JT comes on stage. Hey, we're going to help out small businesses. And I'm listening to it. It's like, yeah, I've got a proper business account. Ooh, this is good. I've got a proper GST number. Yes, this is good. I have proper business expenses with my business name on it.
How about that, right? Yeah.
I can't go wrong. Yeah. I absolutely, totally freaking qualify. So I'm excited. Yeah. I'm really, really, really excited about this. And it's an interesting story. And I hate to slag Scotiabank a little bit, but I applied on the 26th. So June 26th, when it finally got released, I applied and immediately my application got locked up because lo and behold, the card, believe it or not, the debit card that I was using, even though it is a segregated, proper business account, I'm not operating through a personal account, but because the card was a personal card, it immediately locked it up. So that was days and days and days. And how would I know? Wow. I've got access to my business on there.
Wow.
All right. So that just.
So if your card, if you have a current business, if you have a business account, but your debit card is marked as checking to get to that account, then it's marked as a checking account, not the
It's marked as
account?
A personal account, and they believe that you're applying on a personal account, which of course doesn't qualify.
Does Scotiabank give you a business?
That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, so what I had to do, so that was the Friday. Yeah. That was the Friday, and no one could answer the questions. Now I'm kind of a little bit of a smart guy. I got some pretty good smarts. I knew what was going to happen. So I put a lot of pressure on them. I said, look, you've got to give me answers, and no one could give me answers. I said, look, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to wait till Monday, and I know darn well that I'm going to go to the back of the line. I know how this stuff works. Oh, no, that won't happen. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Of course, I went to the back of the line. But quite literally, I had to go down to the bank, down to the branch, set up an appointment, get an actual business debit card, new number, all that sort of stuff, even though existing accounts. And then I was able to reapply. It still took them almost because I went down on Friday and got the card. It was the end of the day, Friday or Saturday morning. And Monday, it was still locked up. So I called them all weekend. I was the literal thorn in the side. I wasn't going to give up because I knew what would happen. Yeah. So I got the application in. Finally, it opened up on Monday. They're like, oh, we see. And I told them, I said, look, I'm not an IT guy. I said, but I'll tell you what happened. Because this got applied on a personal card, there is a lock somewhere in the system. You need to go through the flow, determine exactly where it's locked up, where the break in the system is, fix it so that I can reapply. And then they're like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, so that's good to know, Jamie, because I mean, if that's the case, I'm going to get in touch with my branch manager and mention that.
Yeah, well, you would know because it immediately denied me. Like I made it to the last question. There was only 6, 7 questions, something like that. I made it to the last question. I was immediately denied. Like,
see,
no.
These are the issues. These are the issues where the bank is culpable, right?
Correct. Yeah, this is completely on the bank. This has
Bank
nothing to
side.
do with EDC or anything. So after Monday, it did get corrected. They unlocked the application. I went back in with the proper business banking account, with the business card, went back in, reapplied. Great, you're good. Now you have to submit your documents. Now, here's the thing I want to share about submitting documents. I think they say, what, 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
This was God's honest truth, probably a 4 or 5 hour process.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Right, you've got to get all your documents. You have to, first of all, read and review to make sure it complies with all the different areas and all that. This is a long process. Anyone that thinks it's going to take 45 minutes or something like that, prepare to spend a good 4 hours, 5 hours going through.
I spent the whole weekend putting stuff together. First, because my branch manager told me 2019. Then, and we have certain expenses. We don't get a monthly statement. My husband has personal insurance with a private company. They don't send us a monthly statement or a yearly statement that says this is how much you paid. It's just one of those things. That's the way they do business. We call up. He has an account there. They know what they're talking about. But we don't have anything in writing that says every month he gets two debits in his account for 2 insurance policies. We just don't have that. I do have a letter that says your insurance is going up $10 instead of $196 a month. It's $200 and whatever. That's what I had. So that's what I gave them. I didn't care at that point. It was like, I'm putting this in. It comes out every month. I don't care.
And that's one of the things there is that information, even though I believe it's legitimate, completely 1,000%. I suspect, and I mean, I don't want to be the doomsayer or the negative Nelly here by any means, but because that doesn't comply with exactly the way they want it, we have a truck loan. We have a company vehicle. It's in the business name, in the proper incorporated company. I know I keep emphasizing that, but it's like, well, no,
it's true.
It's business. Right. But I didn't submit the whole lease document. I only submitted the first page that's got the amounts, the totals, everything. So I suspect I may get denied because I didn't submit the whole entire contract, even though it's through RBC. It's like an official bank contract, business name, everything.
And
that
that
you would
expense
need.
would be on your income tax too for them
Completely.
to see for 2019.
We've got 5 years worth of filed expenses. I mean, we're not a new business.
No.
Right?
No.
Government, you can go look. I have nothing to hide. So here's what's interesting. I'm going to keep this going because it's going to tie into RRRF.
Cool.
I did all that information, got it all in there. Of course, got denied back on 2 weeks ago today. So 2 weeks ago today, we got our first denial. It was heartbreaking. I swear to Christ, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. It was so disappointing and so... like it hurt.
So
I had physical pain when I read that email.
Yeah.
And
I can believe it.
Just not in a good place because number one, I don't understand. Number two, I've been waiting these 3 weeks and it was like that false hope. There's nothing worse than false hope.
When JT said that he was going to revamp the CEBA and it was going to be available to more small businesses, my husband and I are like, oh, thank God, we're finally going to get some help. And then it was just like, no one knows anything about this. We're lost. We're in the wind. And it's so stressful and depressing.
So what got me out of it, though, is I remembered the RRRF because about 2 weeks in, I came across a post that's talking about the RRF. I looked at it. I kind of did what you did, Dwayne. I kind of started filling in some stuff. I'm like, nah, I don't really qualify yet. I'm not in the right place. So I left it. But what's really great, I got that denial, and it took me a little bit here. I had to change my mindset and all that. But I saw the denial letters like, oh, I'm denied. That puts me, but that was a good thing. Because that put me in running for the RRRF.
Right.
I have a legitimate denial. I can now go ahead and apply.
Open now,
Right. So, but here's the thing. I applied. I submitted all the information, but before I did that, I had a conversation. And I'll tell you what, straight up, Community Futures, they are amazing. I mean, that's what we have over here. I deal with the Cochrane branch.
Surrey, right?
This one here is actually out of Cochrane because my business is fully incorporated out of Alberta. So, Yep. So I applied with the Cochrane branch. That's where we have our base of operations and all that. And they were really great to talk to. Right? I don't have enough good things to say about Community Futures. They were amazing. But the one thing she told me, she said, the fund is out of money. The RRRF is out of money.
In other words, I should just close that window.
No, do not. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. But what she said, she goes, please apply. Like, she was literally, in a very nice way, she's like, she was almost begging me to apply. She goes, we recognize that there's a serious deficiency with what's going on. She goes, the only way we're going to get more money, the only way we're going to get to do something about it is if you go ahead and apply. Here's what's great. Let me tell you what happened. I applied. Immediately, I got a response back. Imagine that, a response. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I get a response back. It's like, hey, great, we've received your application.
You get an actual confirmation number too.
Yes, right. I can log on. I can see my application. I can see everything that I need to see with the RRF, which is gold. Anyways, I had to call them right away because there was some information. I think my computer auto-populated some stuff and it wasn't the correct information. So I called them up. She's like, yeah, we see your application right here. She goes, yeah, no problem. We can fix that. No problem. Yeah. Within about 3 days, it went to their head adjudicator. He reviewed it over. There were some documents. I didn't supply 3 months worth of bank statements, and that was my mistake. I supplied for my 2018 and my 2019 taxes. I went into the T1, corporate T1 and all that. I pulled out the pages that showed all the expenses just so I wasn't BSing them. I said, here, I got nothing to hide. Right, here's my information. Go ahead, take a look at it. I thought that was enough, but what they really needed was last 3 months of bank statements. No problem. I was able to upload them. Like they messaged me. They let me know that something wasn't quite right. No problem. I uploaded them, gave them the information showing them that, yes, this is a proper corporate bank account, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'd say it probably took a week and a half, week and 3/4. I got an email back that says, thank you so much. We have put your application into wait list. Now, I knew why, because I recognize and understand that the fund is out of money. But I'll tell you straight up, the level of communication, the information that came back, there's no false hope. There's no, waiting forever to get nothing. Right. So, I mean, maybe this can help someone out. If you're looking to apply for the RRRF, even if there's no money, please apply to the fund. This is from someone straight at Community Futures.
Jamie, sorry to interrupt you, Maria. Jamie, this is a very interesting point you're bringing up. And it's actually, I'm wondering, Dwayne, are you in Ontario or are you in another part of the country?
Alberta.
You're in Alberta. And Maria, where are you?
So 2 Alberta and 2 Ontarians.
Yeah, and Maria, where you're in Ontario? Okay, cool. So, Maria and I might be faced with a bit of a different challenge than the both of you are, Dwayne and Jamie, because FedDev Ontario is a lot different than the Community Futures Program, and there's another, I think, Western
Economic Development.
Yeah.
So the Western Economic Development team and the Community Futures team, I've only, being an Eastern kid, I've only ever heard good things about it. But FedDev Ontario is just a complete mess, and Maria and I are going to be for quite a battle here. When I call it, this is hilarious. I called FedDev Ontario about a week and a half after I applied for the RRRF, and was told on the phone that there was nobody I could talk to get an update on this. Nobody could give me any information. It was exactly like CEBA. It was the exact same thing, exact same bullshit that I had faced with CEBA. And I said, look,
I've heard the same.
You had the same thing, right? So I said, that's dumb. And in my escalation process, I was put in touch with one of the team leads for the RRRF adjudication process. So I will also communicate that information by email as well. And before I forget, in the chat, Dan had put his email address. I've also put my email address in there too. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys just sent me a quick email, and then I will send you guys back the contact information.
How do I do that?
Are you on a computer, Maria, or are you on a phone?
Do I go to the chat? Do I just click on this chat thing?
Click on chat. Oh, great, perfect. Yeah, if you could all put your emails in there, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, so the FedDev Ontario was wholly unhelpful. And then when I ended up speaking to the chief of staff at Mary Ng's office, he said, well, you were given the wrong information, and FedDev Ontario is not very good at customer service. There is, in fact, a help desk number that you can call for the updates on the RRRF program with FedDev Ontario. In my initial complaints to Mary Ng, Bill Murnau, and now Melanie Joly is involved in this as well on the RRRF side. So the chief of staff is on my behalf engaging with Melanie Jolie's office to get an update on the RRRF and to find out what's going on there. And I imagine I'm going to get that information that you've just said, Jamie, that the fund that they're out of, the fund is dry. But they told me in my complaints, I said, it doesn't make sense that the CEBA program has no way for anybody to get any direct information from anyone. They are reliant on their banks, and the banks keep saying you got to go to the CRA. The CRA says you got to go to your bank. EDC is just sort of sitting there saying no, 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 no. And in the meantime, nobody's getting any information. And the chief of staff acknowledged that there needed to be a help desk set up. And said,
I actually recorded when I phoned Export Development Canada, who's managing the CEBA loans. It sends you through a whole bunch of prompts first, and then of course it says, if you are phoning in regards to your CEBA loan application, you cannot, we cannot give you any information, and you have to go to your bank. I actually recorded that part of the message as a proof, just in case they change it. And I actually sent it off to my bank manager. Because it went from, when I wasn't hearing anything in regards to CEBA, I went back to my bank and I said, you know what, maybe I just need to apply for a loan. Maybe I just need to get something going finance-wise. And because they hadn't announced version 3 at that point. My loans manager went, yeah, okay, we can do the application. We did the whole application. And then that was on the Friday. On the Monday, they announced the 3.0. And I immediately phoned him back. I said, you know what, let's put that application on hold. I said, hopefully this CEBA 3.0 is going to work for us. Well, after checking, I mean, weeks and weeks, of course, go by on the CEBA application. We don't hear anything. I call up the loans manager. He goes, well, let me reach out to my contact. He says, it hasn't been 15 business days yet. Wait a couple extra days. He ends up reaching out to his contact. Contact comes back, says, yeah, you're going to have to wait. I think he got tired of hearing from him because he forwarded me onto the branch manager, who then says, yeah, I'm familiar with the situation. I've read up on everything. Let me reach out to my government contact. And then he sends me an email back saying, yeah, you haven't reached 30 days. Of course, they've changed it from 15 days to 30 days. You're just going to need to wait a little bit longer, be a little more patient. Let me know if you hear anything that I don't. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys haven't got a flipping clue.
No clue.
No clue.
And
part of that delay was they shut down in 2 weeks because of technical problems. But no one knew any of that.
And that wasn't made public. I heard that from you, Don.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, why is it that I was the guy that had to find out that information and make it public? I mean, that's ridiculous.
I couldn't believe you found it out. It was like, how did you find out?
I was amazed the minute that I read that.
Unbelievable.
But this is the thing is that, and what I'm also going to do is, although you don't bank at BMO, I'm also going to engage my small business banking head to get the contact for the lead adjudicator at EDC so that I can get you in touch with him as well. His name is Jim. And
so have you left BDO or are you still there?
Sorry?
Or not BDO, but BMO.
Am I still at BMO?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still with BMO now because I have to be because of the...
you can't change right now. Don't change.
No, even if you wanted to badly, you can't change.
Yeah. And I'm very, very disappointed with BMO. That's a whole other story.
Well, and not to jump in here, I don't mean to cut you off, but if we want to talk about experiences with banks, it wasn't more than a few days after my first denial of round 1 of 3.0 that my banking person called me. Hey, how you doing? Are you aware of all these programs to help small businesses?
I'm like, wow, really?
And I'm sorry, I went off. It was a very professional way. I'm kind of a professional guy, but it was like, how can you not know that I've applied? How can you not know anything about my business when I've called you? I've contacted the branch. I can't even tell you how many times I've contacted the support center. How did they not know that? Right? I'm sorry, that's hashtag customer service failure.
Yeah. And actually, at the end of the day, Gene, you're absolutely right. This whole thing is just a customer service boondoggle from start to finish.
Yep.
Even Jason from Mary Ng's office, he had made that same point about FedDev Ontario, which is, at first I thought, okay, well, it's feds and province battling each other out, and one's the bad guy, the other's the bad guy, whatever. But no, he was actually right that there was poor customer service. And when I did speak to one of the senior people over at Fed Ontario, he said himself, you should not have been told that. There is a help desk number where you can get this information. And so now the biggest problem here is, and as it has been, there is no straight answer from A to Z. We're all getting different stories, different explanations from people. And I'm very happy to sort of be helping to lead this charge to get accurate information on behalf of other Canadians. But it shouldn't be up to me. And I am going to submit an invoice to Bill Morneau and Mary Ng.
Yes.
Add me to that invoice, please.
Yeah.
Sorry? Say that again.
If he's still around.
Add us all to that invoice.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly to Maria's point. That's assuming that he's still around to send an invoice.
I mean, if he can cut a check for 41,000 on the fly, wow.
He forgot about the 41,000 as he did about his houses in France, but
Yeah, well, I'd forget about my villa too. I mean, keep track of it all. I'm glad we can laugh about it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, Maria. If we can't laugh about it, then we're just going to be.
We're sunk. Yeah.
One thing quickly before I know, I only wanted to keep this about an hour and a half, so we're at the hour and a half mark now, and I really very much appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me. I love getting people involved in something that's important, that require, especially business owners who are making ends meet in the middle of this pandemic. I'm very happy that Maria's on the call as a fellow Ontarian, but I'm also really happy to have two Westerners on the call. I love Western Canada. I love Western Canada. It's everything out there is beautiful. My favorite province is Saskatchewan, but I love it out there. The people are the salt of the earth in that part of
My wife will be happy to hear that. She's from Saskatchewan.
Oh, please tell her I love Saskatchewan. Candle Lake is probably the most beautiful part of the country. I love it there. But in any case, one of the things I wanted to also bring up as well, I wanted to make sure I mentioned this before I forgot. With all of us on the call, I was hoping that we would consider starting a regular podcast. Because I think that this is Yeah, thank you. And I really think that this is something that we can continue to push forward. And the more that we get small businesses engaged in this, the further we can push the agenda. And the four of us on this call, I mean, I haven't heard a word from Skip's Clearance, so I don't know who that is. But the four of us on this call are really engaged and really want to get this thing moving. I would love to have us do like a regular podcast that we publish online and have people engaged, and people can join in the conversation as well. So
maybe we'll pick up some more people that are out there looking for, people with the same story, so they don't feel alone.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? I mean, the four of us know what we're dealing with and we're all on the same page, but there are so many other business owners out there who do feel alone, who do feel the way that you did, Jamie, when you got that rejection letter, the way that you did, Dwayne, when you recorded that video, which I tell you, man, I'm lucky I had my dog with me while I was watching that. And you, Maria, 18 years in business, and to be treated like, you're not legitimate in any way.
Yeah.
These are the things that we need to communicate to the rest of the country so that they can understand what's going on, what's really going on.
There's many of us out there.
Sorry.
Yeah. As you said, there are so many more of us out there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Big time.
So I'll put together some of the details and start forming up the process, the technology, and all that stuff, and then I'll get in touch with everybody. And
I look forward
to it.
Yeah,
The answer is a complete, absolute, resounding yes. Not even a question.
Yes. You're not getting video of me, right? Because I see a camera and a slash through it, so I've done something wrong. I'll learn eventually.
Your camera,
I'll get there.
off, but yeah, I can help you. I'm an IT guy. So,
hey, Donald, before you leave, I want to see Roxanne.
Oh yeah, Roxanne, come here, hon. Come here, Roxanne, come here. And she's bringing her toy because.
All right.
Come up. Say hi to everybody. Come here, Roxanne. Come here. Jake, say hi.
There she is.
There she is.
Super
Roxanne.
Hey, say hi to everybody.
I showed my daughter is she's the animal whisperer. She can meld with any animal, including she'd hug a crocodile if she could. I showed her your dog because I didn't have a picture of your cat, but I showed her your dog, and she goes, "Well, where's the picture of the cat? I want to see the cat too." And she's just like, "Oh," she melted as soon as she saw Roxanne.
Oh yeah. I tell you, every morning I wake up every morning and I get a lot of love from these two. It's like 10 minutes of kissing and loving, and this one's whining now because I have to take her out. But I've never had a dog before I got Roxanne. And her name is Roxanne because I'm a huge fan of the band The Police. So that's how she got her name. But I don't know if I could, for all of the things that she's destroyed and the floorboards she's eaten, and she ate my couch once because I was on a business trip and she couldn't find me and she thought I was hiding in the couch, and totally destroyed it. You know, for all of those things, she's cost me thousands and thousands of dollars in destroyed stuff, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Good.
All over again.
Excellent.
Jamie, I see you had a cat too, eh?
Yeah, that was Chloe. There's another one over there. That's Ollie. And then we've got a little staffy, roddy pound puppy guy. And he's just a great big ball of love. He sleeps with us. He's like, no, I'm not sleeping until I'm on the bed. So yeah.
I have two cats, but I close the bedroom door and they don't like the door closed, so they're gone now. They're too hoity-toity for us.
Yeah.
What are the names of your cats, Maria?
My oldest cat is named Snout. When he was born, he was my cat's offspring. He had ears and nose. That was it. His face was tiny, and my husband said, "Look at the snout on him." So we called him Snout, even though he's black and white. I heard the neighbors once call him over and called him Oreo, and I thought, what a great name. Why couldn't we come up with it? Anyway, the other one is Scully. We thought it was a she. Came to the door, took it in, and thought it was a she for about 6 months or so. Found out it's actually a Mulder, but we don't want to confuse him, so it's Scully. We're sticking with Scully.
There you go. Yeah.
What about you doing? Do you have pets?
Yeah. Well, the two dogs I've got, Hunter and Holly, they're both inside at the moment. But
yes, right. I remember now. Hunter and Holly. Sorry, Dwayne. If you guys go to look through my Twitter, Dwayne had sent me a picture early on about a couple of days ago of his dogs, and they're just wanted to eat the screen.
They're both the you can't tippy-toe next door, across the lawn without them start to bark. But you know what? They're like family.
That's what dogs do.
Yeah, they do.
Everybody. Yeah. Postman's coming.
Yeah. Oh, there's food? Where's food?
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been really great. And I would say anyone that's watching this, please, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're available. We started this so that we could get this voice out there. One of the things that I talk about, whether it's in any of my social media, is really truly about using your voice. If we're shutting that off, if we're zippering our mouths closed, no one's going to hear about it and no one's going to know anything. This is using our voices in a positive way, getting some of that hope, some of that help out there, even if it is understanding what documents you can and you can't. We've all done it.
That helps, yeah.
If we can share 5 or 10 minutes of our time, man, that could make so much difference for someone. So definitely reach out.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to say to you guys that, prior to me putting out that video and the tweets within the 2 weeks prior to that, I use Twitter so very rarely. I almost not at all. And I'll be honest, it has been a very eye-opening learning experience. And to be honest, it's been exhilarating. I met some really great people today, and I hope to meet many more. And I thank you all. This has been a really great experience.
Maria and I will, once it's safe to travel, we'll hop on a plane to Alberta. See you guys in person.
Or we'll have to drive, make it a road trip. To see more of Canada. I've only been out east. I haven't been the other way. So
I've always wanted to do the road trip across the country too. I did a road trip across the United States once to drive a friend to Kelowna, and that was interesting. Montana is a big state, but but yeah, I would love
a lot of nothing.
That would be fun. Marie, are you in Southern Ontario? Are you in the GTA?
Well, we lived in Toronto, moved to Newmarket. Now we're up in Aurelia because of house prices. We got to double the house for less than what we sold in Newmarket. But we're still working in Newmarket, Richmond Hill area, Holland Landing, some Bradford. So, you know, we're trying not to go too far south because that's a ways. But yeah, we're commuting right now.
Yeah, cool.
Down to Newmarket, yeah.
All right, folks. Well, listen, I can't thank you all enough. This was a really
This was great, yeah.
wonderful, fruitful conversation.
Well, hopefully it garners the attention we need.
Yes, and what I'm going to do is the recording I'm going to put online somewhere for us to review and download, but I will also make a short edited version to put online so that the points that we really want to get across will be there. And then I will set up the details of how to about the podcast and the technology, all of that stuff. I'll do that this week and get back to all of you. I will email you all later on today with the contact information for the relevant players, including my head of small business banking, so that he can connect you to the EDC adjudicator, and as well as the Fed. I'm going to give the contact for FedDev Ontario, which may or may not help you, Jamie and Dwayne, but it's better than nothing because he is a federal employee. So he will, if anything, be able to put you in touch with whoever senior people are at the Western Economic Development or at Community Futures.
Absolutely.
And for Maria and I, that might be a lot more helpful to have the this FedDev Ontario contact. And yes, like Jamie said, apply for the RRRF if you haven't done it already. Do it now.
I'm going to finish that right after this call.
Do it, Dwayne.
Worth doing it. Yeah. So. All right, folks.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a great day.
Talk to you soon.
Enjoy your long weekends.
Yeah,
you too.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.